watching and stuff. So uh, my I would say it was probably close to I was probably about 18 when I actually got hands on with a race car through friends of my dad and such and whatnot, and just kind of always was a dream to get to do something like that. And I'd say it was about 2019 purchased the B mod and had really no idea what the hell I was doing and getting myself into, and found out quickly that yeah, didn't really have much business being in that, so got on it. And they found one that was about $1,200 up in northern Minnesota. So we went all the way up in the northern Minnesota, got a Hornet, got home just in time to get to a track, which is knew nothing about it, didn't even change tire pressures, literally just got in the thing and went and had a blast and whatnot. And so we did that a couple of nights, and I think it was towards the end of the year in 2019, and we ended up at the Watertown, the Autumn Classic, the doubleheader there at the end of the year. And first night, I had a blast and had a couple speakers on top of the trailer, and ended up throwing a pretty good party and whatnot. And Dylan Terrell, he's my right hand man now. He's my partner in crime, and he showed up the second day of the doubleheader. Couldn't be there the first one because he worked first night, and he pulls in and sees this heap of a box of a camper hooked up to a flatbed trailer with bumping it about Mitsubishi Eclipse just full of duct tape and whatnot. And he's like, who in the heck is that? So it struck his curiosity enough to come find out. And then he's like, well, this is an interesting character. And he said, well, we could build you an actual race car if you'd like one. And that's the car I'm leaning on right here. This is the first race car that they built for me. And found out what speed was actually like, and a car that actually drove straight and whatnot. And they took me under their wing, and we've been at this since. So
Yeah, I was
kind of cool little.
Yeah, it all starts with just one little conversation, and it kind of spirals out of control from there. And then you come up with then you get a crazy addiction like I have and like you have, and then you get in all sorts of trouble, right?
Yeah, something like that. No, they put a lot of time and work into this. Like, I don't know, this will be that was 2021. This will be our fourth year in a Hornet, and as you can see, it's really growing a lot. So we went from just having this car here to now this is the second car I've had with them. Right now, we're currently in the process of taking out the motors out, and we have it stripped down. Transmission sitting there on the ground. We got a new motor that Dylan's currently putting the parts back on there. We're gonna drop that in time to get back to Monty. We missed a week last week, and there was a week that we had some springs we didn't know we shouldn't be running, so we lost points 2 nights, and somehow, some way, we're still in the top 5 in points here, and can still potentially end up second or third in points. I'd say isn't out of the question. And these guys, they work full-time jobs, and they put just so much time into doing this. I mean, there's nights where we all looked at ourselves like, should we just call it a year? But one of us pushed the other, and we just keep going. And it's a lot of fun, but it's a lot of work at the same time. And without them, I definitely wouldn't know what any of this feels like. So pretty fortunate to have bonded with these guys and became good friends over the years. So
Yeah, and with you being from Mitchell, South Dakota, there's not a ton of tracks that race Minnesota Hornets that are pretty close by. So it's quite a haul for you to kind of get to just a track that regularly races Hornets. So I guess what is that like, kind of going on long trips just to race a weekly show for a Hornet?
well, to be completely honest, there I could drive 40 miles south of Mitchell and sport compact class if you would, and honestly, they get 3 to 4 cars, and it's just kind of, when I was around anyway, it was kind of just disorganized and just not really a whole lot of fun. And when I got with these guys, I started visiting. They live in White, so our home base became White, South Dakota, which to hop in a car, go down the interstate 2 hours really ain't that much of a drive. So we come up here and experienced some tracks in Minnesota, Montevideo, Madison. We've been to Fergus Falls, Clayton. The competition's definitely stiffened up in Minnesota. You learn quick, and you learn what to do and what not to do really fast, or driving against better competition and tracks that really put a lot of time into their track and such, and we get shown a lot of hospitality where we go and stuff, and I that goes a long way. So for me to drive the 3.5 hour round trip and get the full experience, so to speak, is so much more worth it than driving 40 miles down the way to basically learn nothing. So
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up too, because yeah, the competition is this year has been pretty stiff too. I know they've added a couple of tracks that race with Soda Hornets weekly now, like I-94 and Vikings. So that's just brought in a whole bunch of more drivers, more competitors. So it just kind of like deepens the field even more, especially for this year.
yeah, absolutely. No, the competition in this class is, it was always there from the get go. You when I first started, you got guys like Jake Arhus who just absolutely are, they got it down. I mean, those are the guys. You can even run with them. You're doing something I never was able to at the time, and in fact, me and Jacob became, you know, I would consider us decent friends now. When we first started out, he was running for national championship, and I ended up getting in his way in Watertown in the very last night, and I know he didn't think too highly of me at that point because I mean it could have been. I mean, he had a few more weeks to go, but it could have been the difference in whether him, him winning a national championship or not. And that was a really how serious this is. Learning from that mistake and whatnot. And now, we've all put all them things behind us, and we all pretty good friends at the end of the day and whatnot. And he's helped us out a lot. We've driven down there and gotten parts that we've needed from him and stuff, and just a lot of pointers and stuff and encouragement from guys like that. And I don't know, it just me personally, it's a lot of people ask, oh, it's hard to learn the car. Well, for me, it's been more of a battle with myself, overthinking things and actually just putting the foot down and getting after it, and that's kind of how my first win came this year. After last year, we blew the motor early in the season, and we didn't race the rest of the year, and kind of focus on spending time with my kids and family and doing other things, the family and whatnot, which was nice. And that's kind of what we set sail to be more family oriented, and we start the first night off. I raced the heat race. I think I finished sixth, and Dylan just ripped me a new one and said, I'm wasting my time here, and got the old lecture for about a half an hour, and so I went out in the feature and I put my foot down, and I got my first career win and won it that night, opening night. And then the second week we come back and had success again, and it's like, well, we're in points, so I guess we're doing this every week now. And so plans kind of changed, and of course I had a good talk with my girlfriend, who was just absolutely supportive. Without her I couldn't be doing this, and to see it through. And we made a decision as a couple and as a family, and decided, we're going to go through with this, and we're going to chase points in Montevideo and see what happens. And there's been a lot of curveballs thrown at us this year and whatnot, and somehow we at least end up with a base hit and keep going. And yeah, it's just things just continue to fall into place. I mean, it comes with a lot of hard work, though. Like I said, Dylan and Marty, there's countless hours and time spent keeping this, show going, so to speak. And here we are with 2 weeks left, and we're 2 nights behind everybody else, but we're still in the top five in points and still could potentially finish second and third. So we're chasing it. And then after this year, though, I'm not doing this again. I'm not gonna ever go for points or anything anytime soon. I want to get back to, going on family vacations and spending time with family. I have a grandma who's in the just went into the nursing home and whatnot, and she's doing really good. But
Jerik, did I lose you? Did you? If you can hear me, try to move to a different spot in the garage because I feel like you might get better reception there if you can hear me. Well, it looks like we briefly lost him. Give him a minute to see if he can come back in. So, I want to say hi to some of the people tuning in, including my sister, and also I saw Adam Brotherton was in there as well. Hey, looks like we got Jerik back.
Must have got cut off here.
Yeah, I was just gonna tell you, move into a different spot in the garage because I think it was kind of getting spotty for reception.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that.
All good, all good. I think we're back on it too. Wanted to say hi to a few people tuning in, including Kenny Bush, saying
That'd be my dad.
Yeah, Bush Boys Outdoors is what he's saying.
Absolutely. Yep, they're right on the car, right there. Yeah.
Got Adam.
No, I don't know how much. I don't know how much or where I got cut off there, but like I said, my family is extremely supportive. They don't get to a whole lot of races. Both of my brothers, they're busy guys. One of them's out in Rapid City, doing his thing, starting his life, and then Kobe's in college up in Northern, plays basketball up there. So they don't get to a whole lot of games. And my dad, he's a plant manager and has a pretty important position at work. So it's just kind of interferes with their opportunities to get to tracks, but they're super supportive. They're always asking how things are going, and we're in contact each and every day, let alone race nights and such. Same with the other half of my family. My aunt, who is pretty much my mother, she's full time taking care of our grandma, who I don't know if you heard there before we got interrupted, but she's in the nursing home. She's doing good and stuff, but things like that acquire a lot of time, and her kids, my cousins, they're like brother and sister to me. One's a doctor and lives in Iowa now and starting her life out, and the other one's high up at the Pentagon and whatnot, and just busy people. So they don't really get to a whole lot of races, but they are super supportive, and we talk every day and we keep in contact throughout the week, and they're always making sure everything's going good and very encouraging and whatnot. So it's nice to have supportive family. So.
Yeah, definitely you got to have a good support system behind you to make it all work out, both at the track and off the track as well.
Absolutely.
Looks like Kelly Brosick is tuning in.
That'd be my girlfriend, the biggest supporter of them all. She puts up with a lot, so.
Oh, yeah. Now, the significant others definitely put up with a lot. Adam Brotherton also tuning in. Haven't seen Adam at all this year. It's kind of been a bummer.
Adam started a business in here on South Dakota, kind of started his own business and kind of tied it into his dad's existing business, as far as I understand and whatnot. And so responsibly, he's been focusing a lot on that. And I think he probably has intentions on coming back next year and getting some racing in and whatnot. And haven't really got to talk to him much on that, so don't quote me or anything. But no, he hopped on. He's a longtime friend growing up as kids and whatnot, and he jumped on board this year and is one of my sponsors, Adam's Quick Lube, and one of my new sponsors. And yeah, just a great guy and a really good race car driver. Growing up, him and Cole Searing were kind of the two that I looked up to they're both way younger than me, but they're two drivers that I looked up to that just been a lot of success and just natural raw talent on the track. So
Yeah, it'd be nice to see him back behind the wheel again here next year, hopefully.
absolutely,
Spencer Hupel.
I could say I'd expect to see that.
Spencer Hupel also tuning in. He's saying they need a Hornets race in Huron. So I've watched a couple Hornet races at Alexandria, and they were short. They had short track races there the year before. And you'd think being on a half mile, they'd be like, not the greatest to watch. But I will admit some of the races get strung out. But there's been a couple this year that you have a group of 5 or 6 that just stay clumped together the entire race, and it's really good.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not sure on those 5 exactly, but it seems to be the case kind of at the tracks that I run. It's the same 3 guys up front every night, and it's really fun to run with guys like that. Like Cole Campson, Brady Albertson, Adam Van Anderstein. Like they're fun to run against. You never know. One night, one wins. Like it's like we all take turns and we race each other as clean as we possibly can, which is key. Because nobody wants to spend all week fixing cars and equipment and whatnot. And then, like I said, like I could run 40 miles south of where I live, but when you get treated that way and you run against better talent like that, it makes you a better driver, and it just makes it a lot more worth it to drive 3.5 hours to get somewhere, so to speak, without wasting people's time and money.
Mm-hmm. Well, I definitely got a few more people tuning in, including Vicky Wiley, Bradley Rosso, also checking in, fellow competitor of yours.
Oh yeah, Bradley's awesome. Love him.
He's not sure if the Hornets could handle that big of a track in Huron.
I don't know. I think we could, but I mean, you definitely have to have good equipment and I mean, it would be hard on these cars. I mean, people don't probably think much of the Hornet class when it comes to like speed and stuff, but we're turning, in the neighborhood of 7 to 8,000 RPMs at some tracks and stuff. And on a big track like that, you're really going to stretch out your motor. And I think it would probably be a little hard on a lot of these cars that run every week, that don't have maybe as much money into their cars as some of us do and whatnot. But even the ones that do, I mean, it's tough. I mean, it would be. I mean, Fergus Falls would be the closest thing to comparison for Dakota State Fair Speedway, and they definitely definitely longer straightaways in Huron, I would say.
Okay, interesting. Which actually, that kind of leads me to a question, because I was listening to one of the interviews from Scotty Ireland. I think he was interviewing Dalton Haig and maybe Adam Vandersine too.
Yeah, I think I tuned into that.
What do you guys all change on your Hornets to race? Like, because you race Montevideo and Madison, but then you might race somewhere like Casino, which is a very small track compared to those two. So, like, what do you guys change? Because I don't think you guys have, like, gears necessarily, do you?
No, we run one strict gear in this class, but tires is everything. Size of your tires. So like in Montevideo or Madison, most of us would. I mean, so for me, I'll just speak for myself. I'll start in second gear on the start, and then by the flag stand or closer to the end of the straightaway, we'll shift her into third and whatnot, and then we stay in third on them tracks. In Watertown, you would just stay in second gear and run bigger tires. Is pretty much the only difference.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because like everyone always talks about like, well, I don't have gears for Watertown. I don't have gears for like Alexandria or something like that, like the two extremes. And so it's like, I'm like, I don't think Hornets have gears. So I'm curious on how the heck you would go from a small track to a big track. So makes sense.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a pretty for that. I mean, that's a fortunate thing for our class. I mean, it's a pretty easy going process to transition from one of these tracks to go into Watertown, a smaller track like that. But guys like us, we got we got tires for days. We got 4 tires for each track ready to go in case we wreck one or whatever. So, but for some of these guys, it's this is a class that's it's a non-expense class, so to speak, and so some guys don't necessarily want to invest in being ready for that, or even wanted to just run multiple tracks, I should say, and just focus on one, so to speak, and the miles between them as well. Watertown isn't exactly a hop, skip, and a jump for some of these guys we race against at these other Minnesota tracks. They come from clear up by Fergus Falls or farther and whatnot. So I could see where that would, still be a tough deal to do for some people. So
Yep, absolutely. Well, I got my sister tuning in as well. Hi, Camion. We also have street stock drivers Tony Miller and Al Schmidt checking in. So thank you guys for tuning in
cool.
as well. While we got
Yeah,
us,
Al Schmidt's a good guy. I met him way in my younger days when I was living in Watertown. I believe he does the graphics on Dylan's and Marty's dad's car there, Wade Terrell, who's also been a big supporter to my program as well. Wade, he needs something, I'll go grab it or take the pickup here or borrow this and borrow that. Just great help. Him and Schmitty go way back, so it's kind of cool to see a guy like that here watching our lives.
yep, yeah, I always see them part next to each other in Watertown. And that's cool to see that relationship. Oh man, we got more people tuning in. We got Terrell Newton checking in. Brock's
Mad my cousin, yep, he's like a brother from another mother.
Brock Stout and Corey Bergquist, two troublemakers from
Oh yeah,
Huron and
I
Northern.
knew they wouldn't miss it.
Brock has a new drinking game too.
Yeah, I
He's
heard about that.
yeah, he's saying every time that you say you know, you drink.
Yep. Well,
Say yeah, got to give him a bonus one there. Well, and
old Brocky boy.
yep. Speaking of supporters, while we got a second here, I want to give you an opportunity to list off any sponsors or any other people that help out your racing program.
Oh yeah, we got a list here. Well, we can start out with the ones on the car here. Suds Casino. They're new to this year. They're just down the street from my place there in Mitchell, South Dakota. They came on board this year. AOK Photography. They do some cool work with blankets and such and whatnot. And Am's Oil Racing's a big sponsor for us. We get a lot of free products and oils oil's not cheap and we don't have to pay for that, so that's pretty cool. We appreciate that. TB Racing Chassis, that's Dylan and Marty building me fast cars every year. Holt Ranch, probably my biggest sponsor. That guy, I mean, he does a ton for a lot of people. There's so many drivers you'll see Holt Ranch cars on, and I mean, these guys really, he's Warner Holt, he's awesome. I mean, without guys like that, I mean, there's a lot of guys like him, but without guys like that, I mean, this sport, you'd see the numbers go down. You really would. He's probably my biggest supporter. So, Extreme Graphics, Mike Stearns. I know he's sitting at home laughing at me right now, but no, he makes awesome cars. I mean, there ain't many Hornets you see that are flashy like that. He puts a lot of time and effort into it and makes it pretty cheap for a guy like me to have a nice car, so we appreciate him. He's a good friend of mine. The Vance Auto, they're awesome. They save me tons of money with parts and whatnot. As I said, Adams Quick Lube, he jumped on board this year. Let's see, Wilmot Gravel is a guy locally here in White, South Dakota. He shows up at the shop once in a while and give us $100 and pay our entry fee for the night and whatnot. And, the Garage Casino, Hideout Casino, they're new this year. Midwest Service and Repairs new this year. Sidetrack Bar, Stinger Speedway, of course. Terrell Trucking, that's all Dylan's dad. DW Baseball. This would be the second year. So the head coach of DW Baseball, he's just an awesome guy. His name's Charlie. Just became really good friends with him. He comes down to our bar and does a lot of business and brings in a lot of business, and he's helped me out. He does a lot of, I don't know how to explain it, but he does a lot of custom work, and he can fix things without in a short notice. He can make things keep going, so to speak.
Hmm.
We won't get too involved in the details of that, but no, he's great. East River Area Photography. They've been on for 3 years. I you don't think I think he moved down to Platte area now, so we're not in contact much anymore. But he's been on for 3 years and continues to support us. We appreciate him as well. And Bush Boys, those are my brothers. They do some hunting pages and just show them some love. Put them on the car. Longhorn Bar, that'd be Charlie. He pretty much provides a motor home for us to pull and stay in while we do this all year. And Big Dummies Bar, of course, that's where I've been for the last 12 years. Jason Bates, he's an awesome boss. I mean, he got us into a really nice house and got us a really nice shop and garage. And when I need to be away from work, it's never a problem. And he really, without him, I wouldn't definitely wouldn't be able to do this. So shout out to him as well. Um, I'm sure I'm missing a few people, but I don't know. This without sponsors, I would not be doing this. I absolutely would not be doing this. There's just absolutely no way. So they're pretty good to me and Dylan, and especially these two boys in here working right now as we speak. They put a lot of time into this, and they all work 7 o'clock in the morning jobs till 8 o'clock, and they'll be up till probably 12, 1 o'clock today, getting the next 2 days, getting this motor ready for Friday. And it's just a big team effort. Definitely, like I said, I had a long conversation with the girlfriend this year, and because I know our plans weren't to be racing every week, and like I said, we started out with 3 wins and we're in points, and I sat down and I said, I've always wanted to win a track championship and whatnot. And before I even got the words out, she was supportive, and she's like, yes, I want. And she's made trips back and forth, bringing parts. I mean, she's done a lot, and without her, I couldn't do this either. So I'd have to say she's my biggest supporter in all this, besides the Terra boys, and yeah. So I'm sure I'm missing a few, but
It's quite the crew you got behind you, though.
yeah, it's an army.
When you mentioned that you started off with a few feature wins this year, Jeremy Bloom is checking in from Wisconsin. He's asking how many feature wins do you have in total for your career?
Well, so like I said, we started off opening night with a good old chewing out from Dylan, and got our first. That would have been. I ended up winning that night, so that was my first career win. Then we got 2 more after that in a short period of time. Ended up in victory lane a 4th time, and there was a discrepancy about a spring we had on the back. And I mean, to us, it was kind of irrelevant, but the rules are the rules, and that's just the way it goes. So we got a DQ that year, so we almost had 4 wins. For me, Dylan's got 2 wins on this car down at Casino Speedway, so 6 wins total on the car.
Okay, pretty good car then.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, she's good. These guys make a fast car, that's for sure. Hopefully she's fast for the next 2 weeks so we can get up in points here.
Well, and you also, besides racing, you had a stint as an announcer as well. So I'm sure you kind of learned, especially like during announcing, it's just like, okay, it looks different from the stands than it is behind the wheel. So I'm sure you got a greater
Yes.
appreciation for both sides now.
So as a driver, that makes it a lot. I see what these track officials go through every week with, calls that don't go their people's way, and they get pretty bent out of shape. And I'll say I can still get upset with some things, but I definitely check myself on how I handle them things, knowing what it's like to be on the other side of the fence. Like, every week it's busy. I work Sunday, Monday, Tuesday nights, and then Wednesday I come here and we do maintenance on the car or whatever needs done. Like this week, we're completely swapping motors and whatnot. So that's what our Wednesdays and Thursdays consist of. Then we go race Friday, and most Saturdays I drive another 3.5 hours down the road to Miller, South Dakota to announce the races there, and I do a lot of promotional stuff for them as well, which Dale takes really good care of me. So, it's worth it. But sometimes it's really hard on the way home when you're passing Madison, which is 20 minutes down the road from the track that you just raced at, and it's like, gosh, I could be racing this night and whatnot. But I don't really do it at this point. I don't even do it for myself. I do it for the people that appreciate, having a good announcer at their track and somewhat of a person that can be organized there and whatnot. We won't go into details with that, but yeah, it's a long week, and then we turn around and we do it all over again, and we do it from April till the end of August, and then we go hit some double headers after that. So it gets to be a really long year for sure.
Oh, believe me, I go through that cycle every week. It's kind of sad the way my schedule's worked out this year, how many tracks that are close by that I've kind of driven past to go to another race. And it's like, man, if I actually kept track of how many races I probably skipped on that could have been closer and how much time consuming that is versus staying closer to home, I would not want to figure that out.
Yeah, for sure. It gets to be long, and I see it in these boys' face all the time. It's like, gosh, I've seen Dylan to where he's about had it, and I've seen Marty to where he's about had it. But these guys love the sport just as much as the rest of us do, and they keep pushing through. And there's been weeks where I was the guy that was like, let's just be done. And after that motor blew, I literally was like, let's call it a year. And then Dylan kind of nodded his head, yeah, in agreement. And then he called me the next day as I was having thoughts differently, and he goes, I don't want to see it end like this. We got 2 weeks left, and here we are swapping motors and whatnot, and just yeah, it's just it's a team effort, man. It takes a lot for sure.
Jeremy's also asking if you can take a little tour around your car.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we can do that. Hopefully we don't lose connection again here, but yeah. So, like I said, this is our old car. We just sold this to a buddy of Dylan's this year. I sold it to him. He's gonna get started next year, I think. In this car, that's the first car that they built for me. Oh yeah.
Hey, Dylan.
Oh right there.
Yeah, what's up?
There we go.
So if we're still connected, so this is our current car.
Yep.
And like I said, we're swapping the motors on it and whatnot. This is Dylan's street stock here. He got that what was it, last year, beginning of the year, and came to Miller, ran a really good race, nice and straight, car looked good, and then he took a tumble in turn two, and as you can see, this bar got bent, and that's where she rests for now. We got other plans in store, I think, but actually I think I'll give the phone to Dylan here a little bit and let him talk. Dylan runs this car in Watertown pretty consistently and whatnot, so I think it'd be fun to kind of let Dylan talk a little bit about his year and with this car being the builder and a driver of it as well.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
You might need to go back by the door here.
I gotta flip the camera.
There we go. Now I see ya.
Well, we've had a long year, that's for sure.
It looks like a typical race shop, just kind of like parts kind of in one spot, and then you kind of have it all strewn about. But it like you know where everything's at. It looks like for the most part.
Yeah, it was a little dirty. I figured I better clean up so it doesn't look like a pigsty in here with the video. But
The messier it is, the more it looks like a race shop. Is the way I look at it.
yeah, we got a couple walkways, and that's about all we need.
Oh yeah. As long as you're able to do the work that you need to get done, everything else is kind of just like, we can leave it until the end of the season when we need to actually clean it up.
Yeah.
Well, you've been more of a crew chief this summer. You haven't done a ton of racing from what I remember, but you've gotten a win or two, I believe, this year, correct?
Yeah, we got a win in Watertown this year. Yeah, and then last year we got a win as well. But we had some troubles. We were trying to get the car figured out early this year in Watertown, and and we were having troubles with the tranny for one night, and then second night the car was just too loose, couldn't even drive it really, and we figured out that the front brake line got pinched off, so it was pretty much just rear brakes. So every time you went in the corner and you hit the brakes, the car would want to spin out. So we got that all figured out, and then that's kind of when Jerik took over in Montevideo. But and then we went back there and we got a win, but we haven't been back there since. So
Gotcha. I always get a kick out of when I see like the Hornets or like any four-cylinder car that kind of leaves the left rear at home versus like other classes where you leave the left front at home. What causes that?
so we don't like to set the car up to where it picks up the left rear, just because I feel like if you were to hit a hole on the right rear, your car would just get out of control, being that it's only on three wheels. So we usually like to keep it on all four. But if the left rear is picking up off the ground, for us, we just know that usually the right front strut is getting blown out. It's getting too many laps on. We usually like to change them like halfway through the season. We'll put new struts on and pretty much just go through the car and make sure everything's good.
So I know like a lot of other car classes do a ton of maintenance on the car. Is it a lot of maintenance time with the Wasota Hornet as well?
I guess it depends. I mean, it's with the Hornets, you're running with stock, GM bushings or whatever kind of car you're running. You have stock bushings, so it's not like you have Heims that you have to grease and take apart and go through. But I mean, just the biggest thing is making sure your camber isn't messed up or whatever. Just because if your camber gets messed up, then your toe's out of whack, because that all works the same. But if you have that stuff figured out, you can pretty much. I mean, I wouldn't say it's just loaded in the box and go, but it's a lot more simple than running a rear wheel drive car for sure.
Gotcha. Yeah, and I'm sure that's kind of a really nice appeal for those that are trying to get started in racing, just to kind of get used to like being at the racetrack and kind of just racing around other people. It's a really good class to kind of jump into for that aspect.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'd say it's definitely the cheapest class, but like I was told when I was starting out, is racing is only as expensive as you make it. So I mean, that's the way I look at it.
Yep, that totally makes sense, and it also makes sense from a video or media guy's side too, because
Yeah.
you can definitely put some money in some equipment and get whatever stuff you want. So, kind of what do you want to do with it?
Yep.
Nice. Well, before I let you go, is there any like big any of your favorite moment that sticks out to you this year or the previous year at all?
Probably Jerik getting his first win this year would probably be the biggest thing, just because I've been on him for the last 3 years trying to get him to win, and he wouldn't listen to me. But yeah, 3 cars in 3 years for Jerik, and he finally picked it up after 5. But I don't know. I like to tell people, if I can get Jerik in victory lane, I can get anybody. So if anybody needs some help, let me know.
There you go. Dylan Turrell is available for service.
Yeah.
TV racing chassis.
Yep.
Come get them.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, keep up the hard work, Dylan. It's cool to see your car out on the track and doing well.
Yeah. Here's Jerik back.
Always got to keep the car owner happy, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I said, without him, there's no way I'd be doing this. No way whatsoever. I mean, anybody can get out there, but to be fast and to be a good driver, you got to have the right people in your corner and showing you and telling you what to do and setting up the car real good. I knew. I mean, when we first started, he could have probably asked me to grab him a bolt, and I'd come back with a nut. Not that bad, but you get what I'm saying. And now, I mean, I've learned a lot in 3 years. There's pretty much, aside from the motor, there isn't much I can't do on these cars either. So I've learned a lot from these guys, and like Dylan said, 3 cars and 5 years later, finally all started clicking for me. It's just a matter of going and doing it. And there's a lot of people that think, oh, I could go out there and do that. Some people can, but it isn't for everybody. And I'm definitely a guy that, like I said, I had the dream of racing someday. And when I got into it, I remember the first time going out there, I said, what the heck did I get myself into? Like, I'm like, wow, this is real. And it's taken a long time to get your confidence up to where you put yourself in uncomfortable positions and put your car places that you don't think it necessarily should go. And once you learn to trust that and do that, then the wins start coming. And that was this year. So without them, that would have never happened. So it's pretty awesome to be that guy, and I'm glad I am. So
Absolutely. Well, kind of the last question I have for you is kind of a fun question, just because I kind of stay in touch with a lot of stuff going on in Minnesota, and like the national points battle in Hornets is actually kind of pretty interesting, especially once everyone gets all their shows in, gets over 20 shows, and starts throwing out them. Who do you think is going to end up with the national championship? Do you think?
I don't know. I honestly haven't even I haven't really even looked at national points. I mean, we're nowhere near that. So I haven't really, I don't know. If you told me the top three, I'd give you a guess.
Okay, right now the top three is Jeff Roner in the '08, Justin
Hmm.
Schlitzky in the '14, and Cole Camps in the '02.
Well, it won't be Cole Campson. He sold his car last week. And that's like I said, another guy I like running with. He's pretty cool. Him and I had a tangle up in Madison, and it was kind of sour. He got the worst end of the stick. It was one of those situations where I had nowhere to go, and he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and we got together, and he ended up rolling his car, and I felt horrible about that. But I mean, it's racing, and we're both racing hard, so it won't be him. But um, if it's the Roner and the 14, depends on how many points separate them.
Right now they're separated by 48 points, but then you also have Matt Dittman, who's got 8 wins in 19 shows right now. That's kind of a
Yeah,
little bit further
Dittman's
down.
tough. He really is. Like I said, we uh, running
And
with
Brady
him. I mean,
Alderson in the 16 has 9 wins.
yep, yep. Brady, I run with him every week. I don't know if that's a tough call. I like the 14. We had a really cool conversation. I met him for the first time last week in Madison. He's pretty interesting to talk to. I mean, he's a good runner and a stand up guy. I have never really met Dittman or Roner, but they're both really fast. I mean, when Dylan was in Madison with my car, about the fastest it could possibly be at that point in time, they were still taking us by a straightaway. So whatever they got going on is pretty cool. I don't know, but if I'd say you could flip a coin on them too. But if I had to choose somebody I was going for, I would go for the 14. Dittman's pretty tough. I'd say any one of them three could probably take it if they're all within, you know, they're all within the shot at. If they all have a shot at it, it could be any one of them any given night. So,
Yeah, that's gonna
but
be
I'm pulling for the 14 machine.
alrighty. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun battle to watch all the way to the end. I mean, we still got a long ways to go with a few
Oh
of
yeah,
the regular season races taking place, and then of course the invitational season and the doubleheader is taking place. So that'll kind of shuffle things up too. Well, before I let you go,
absolutely.
any other thing you wanted to add or say to the race fans or watchers out there?
Oh, not this the normal. We appreciate all the support we get. I'll shout out to Rodney and Vicky Wiley from Aberdeen, South Dakota. Since I was about 16 years old, they've been supporting me, and it's pretty crazy that they still stick around. And honestly, he was on the phone with me earlier today, and he said, "Are you for sure going to be in Monte Video?" I said, "Oh yeah, we'll be there." And they're a hop, skip, and a jump away from the track in Aberdeen, and instead of going there at Brown County Speedway, they come everywhere I go, and they don't hardly miss a race. So I would say as far as a fan base, they're my biggest fans, and I really appreciate the support that they've given me in the last 15, 16 years, however long it's been, probably more than that. But yeah, they're big supporters, so definite big shout out to them and my family as well. Like I said, they with Terrell's a busy boy. He's busy at the Pentagon. He's high up there, and Jasmine, she just became a doctor and starting her life out. So Kobe's in college. Just all my family's got so much going on right now, and grandma being in the nursing home and battling health issues and stuff, and that pretty much wraps up all the time for my aunt and whatnot, who would love to. They'd all love to be there, but they just, time. It's all about time. So if you can thank anybody for anything, it's the time anybody gives to the sport, as fans, as drivers, as sponsors, and supporters. So without any of that, this sport wouldn't keep living. So it's pretty cool to see that.
You got it. Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you taking some time out of your schedule and amongst the work working on the race car and getting a new motor swap. I am planning to be at Fiesta City Speedway. Originally, it's planning to be this Friday. We'll see. One of the last 2 races I'm going to for sure be at, though.
Well, then we'll throw a GoPro back in the car and hope we don't blow a motor.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have some rough luck with the GoPro next time.
Yeah. I'm not so much of a superstitious guy, so I don't really believe in that stuff. So I ain't blaming you.
It was a dang good race up until then.
Yes, it was, for sure.
Well, hopefully see you this week or the next, and thank you once again for everyone tuning in. Be sure to stay in tabs on the page. Hopefully we'll be keeping this going for future Wednesdays, and now that everything's working tech-wise. And so thank you again, Jerik, and we'll see you soon.
You bet. Thanks for having us.
Yep.